Hello, I'm Carolyn Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. These weekly confessions run around 15 minutes, give or take, and Season 6 is now the expressway between legacy SEO things and AI model optimization. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 19 of Confessions of an SEO. Now, last week's episode was all about how if we want to get cited, not just temporarily cited, but we want to get cited by AI in a meaningful way, we're going to need to write for machines first. Otherwise, people will not be able to find us. Now, if you're a new listener, first off, glad you're here. If you're coming here for keyword tricks and hacks, let me save you some time and let you know that if you're looking for those because you're optimizing by keywords and keyword density, you're wasting your time. And that's from someone who has spent a lot of time optimizing by keywords. So to really help you, let me say, we're in a weird transition period where everyone is trying to optimize for AI using the exact same playbook they used for Google search in 2020. But here's the truth. The things you do to make a human stay on your page or a search engine rank your page can actually be acting like a brick wall for these AI bots. Today on Confessions, we're going to be talking about the legacy SEO habits that are killing our chances of being cited by AI. I have 3, and I'm going to explain the legacy SEO tactic. That's the things that we're told to do. We want to be successful with search engine optimization. And I'm going to say why AI or these large language models hate it. And if you're going to keep doing this legacy thing, basically you're killing your chances with AI. All right, so the first one, the engagement trap. I call it the toxic table of content cocktail. So the legacy SEO habit, we're told, make your content engaging. Put a massive table of contents at the top of every article. And we were taught this because this would improve user experience by letting humans jump to what they want, and it feeds Google a bunch of keyword-rich anchor links. Now, here's why AI hates it. To an AI bot, a table of content feature is a nightmare. AI doesn't jump around. It processes code from the top to the bottom. And when you inject dozens of those hashtag anchor links into the top of your page, you are not helping the AI. In fact, you are creating an obstacle course for it. So here's the takeaway. When you do this tactic, you are forcing the machine to spend extra processing power. Now, I call it a compute tax, if you will. And it takes extra resources for it to figure out, why is your page so full of internal loops? And if your content needs a map for people to read it, just understand it's too messy for an AI to easily ingest it. And it's the main reason why all those enterprise sites lost huge amounts of visibility on February 3rd, 2026. All right, second one is called the emphasis trap. So I'm talking about loud words versus real architecture. So the legacy SEO habit. All right, bolding. This is the use of the B tags or the strong tags in your HTML and surrounding your keywords or important concepts so that humans skimming the article with their eyes will stop and read. And so also Google will know what that page is about. This is a very natural and long-standing approach, and one that probably is done without thinking about it too much. And just on a side note, in SEO testing in 2015, that was considered a keyword vector. You could actually gain advantage by which tags you actually used. Now, why does AI hate it? AI doesn't have eyeballs. It doesn't see bold text. It just sees, we're going to call it visual paint applied to a word. And making a word loud visually does not tell the machine what that word means. It's like content with all of this kind of has Tourette syndrome, unexpectedly shouting out a word really, really loud. So the takeaway of this is if we are used to writing visual prose for human readers, we have to understand that AI needs semantic anchors. It needs to know the relationship between words, not just what font weight they are. And if you rely on bolding to make your point, or you think this gives you some advantage, you have to understand you're speaking a language that AI ignores. Now, third one, the speed trap. Oh boy, this one took a lot of time last week. So I'm calling it the optimization wall. So the legacy SEO habit, using heavy caching plugins. Now, these are things that, quote, speed up our site. And they do things like lazy load these images or deferring JavaScript so the page looks like it loads instantly for a human clicking on their phone. But these are all things that these cache plugs do, is that they basically put, think of it as, they're just leaving space to then go back and fill it in. Okay? So why AI hates it? Humans read slowly. So giving them a page that piece by piece unpacks, that works. The thing is, AI bots read instantly. So when an AI hits a heavily optimized, lazy loaded page, it just sees a lot of empty boxes and missing content. And believe me, it doesn't stick around long enough for the human-focused animations to start loading. So the takeaway, if you are doing speed optimizations in a more of a desperate attempt to score 100 on a speed test for human users, you are literally handing the AI a blank or broken page. Speed kills, or rather delayed rendering kills, because that's the last thing you would want to do if you want to get cited. So here's the big shift, right? So these are going to sound weird words, like why am I using them to describe SEO? But sort of like extraction versus ingestion. And this kind of is going to sound a little bit more like, if you're a longtime listener, you know how I talk about indexing, right? So if you are indexed, it doesn't mean that your content's going to be served. That's why, the real functional definition to me, served is what we all have historically called indexed, right? Where you can find it in the search results. So what I'm about to say is this is why getting served isn't what it used to be. So just because you're indexed didn't mean your content was going to be served. And just because your content is served, it doesn't mean it will get cited by the large language models. So let's take a look at it. The old world. This is the indexation process that we have grown to love, but that no longer serves. So traditional search engines, they're kind of built to extract all of these things, right? These crawlers crawled, and they crawled all the way through our messy, bloated, pop-up filled website to extract a few clues about what it is that we did. Now, it was Google's job to do the hard part. And the browsers, they weren't so picky. That page was going to render, even if the headers were out of order or there was more than one H1, that page was going to show up and the crawlers were going to get it. Now, in this new world, we look at it as a sort of ingestion model, which would be exactly the opposite. So unlike the willingness of search engine crawlers to do all that hard work, the AI models don't want to work that hard. So they work on a completely different model. They want a clean, quiet, mathematically sound file that they can consume in one single gulp, if you will. So here's the thing. If you're going to make the AI work harder than it wants to understand your site by continuing to use table of contents that have these anchor links and tag your keywords with essentially visual paint and use those lazy loading scripts in a way that gets you the number you want, but don't do it in time for the AI to even see what your content is, they will just leave. They're not going to work harder just because you made it harder. They're just going to leave. And they're going to cite your competitor who somehow managed to serve their data on a cleaner, neater, more mathematically sound platter. Well, that's it for me this week. I guess I'll see you next time. Confessions is sponsored exclusively by Vizex. Vizex Pro is what makes your site computationally irresistible to these large language models, because the difference isn't more content, it's connected content that has the lowest computational cost for them. So go to Vizex, Vizzex.ai, and find out what it's all about. Thanks, and here's to those of us who don't want to settle for the citation crumbs that fall off the AI table. So let's get deliberate, people.